Start करें. Good morning. So the today topic is chronic renal failure or chronic renal injury. We have already told about the hematuria, proteinuria, and acute renal injury. Today we'll discuss about the chronic renal injury. First of all, you remember in any topic you have to learn what are the learning objectives. The learning objectives are: the first one is the definition, then incidence of prevalence. The third one is etiology. The fourth one is pathogenesis or pathology. Then others are clinical features, then investigations, then treatment, management. And there are various types of management. It might be medical management, it might be surgical management, it might be nursing care. So many types of management. Now let us come to the how can you define chronic renal failure? The first defined as either renal injury or proteinuria and or glomerular filtration rate less than 60 ml per minute per 1.73 square meter body surface area. Usually this glomerular filtration rate is described in body surface area. So now let us come to the what is the prevalence. Usually this is not so common in children. The renal failure is not so common as in adult. Still the prevalence is 18 per 1 million of children. Now let us come to the what are the etiology. Etiology depends upon the age of the child. If the child is less than 5 years, the etiology is mostly this is congenital anomalies. You might have you must be knowing about the embryology. The others, the congenital anomalies may be renal hypoplasia. The second one is renal dysplasia, obstructive uropathy. You might be knowing so many types of obstructive uropathy like posterior urethral valve and others. Congenital nephrotic syndrome. The others is Prawn-Bailey syndrome. Prawn-Bailey syndrome, it is also a congenital disease of the kidney, and there is absence of muscles on the abdomen, anterior abdomen. Then come to the cortical necrosis. Cortical necrosis means there is necrosis of the glomeruli. Then FSGS, focal sclerosis, glomerular sclerosis. Then come to the polycystic kidney. You might be knowing about the polycystic kidney. The inheritance is autosomal recessive. Then come to the renal vein thrombosis. And then hemolytic uremic syndrome. We have discussed about hemolytic uremic syndrome in case of acute renal injury also. So these are the etiology under 5 years of age. Now come to the after 5 years of age. If the child is more than 5 years, the causes of chronic renal injuries are glomerulonephritis, then nephrocolitis, then Alport syndrome. There is a typical type of phases in the Alport syndrome. Throughout the childhood, you will get cystinosis. This is also a metabolic disease. Then there may be polycystic disease of kidney. Now let us come to the pathogenesis. Either you can tell pathogenesis or you can tell the risk factors. What are the risk factors? There is hyperinfiltration injury. So what will happen? Why there is hyperinfiltration? final common pathway of glomeruli destruction, because glomeruli are destructed, and that's why the remaining glomeruli have hyperinfiltration, hypertrophy of the remaining nephrons, and increased glomerular blood flow, and increased glomerular filtration in the surviving nephrons. So as the filtration is increased in the surviving glomeruli, there is destruction, progressive damage to the surviving nephrons due to elevated hydrostatic pressure. And then there is also burden on the surviving nephrons, then sclerosis of the nephrons. So let us come to the proteinuria. Why chronic renal failure? These all are the factors, risk factors. Proteinuria or hypertension or hyperphosphatemia. These all are the risk factors. This in the proteinuria exert a direct toxic effect. If the proteinuria occurs, it is filtrated from the glomeruli, it exerts a direct toxic effect on the glomeruli. Then infiltration of the monocytes or macrophages, enhancing glomerular sclerosis, hypertension. So how does the hypertension damage the glomeruli? Exacerbate disease progression and arteriolar nephrosclerosis, then hyperinfiltration injury, and their hyperphosphatemia. This also causes, and others is hyperlipidemia. So these all are the risk factors for chronic renal injury. Now come to the, what are the stages? Really, in chronic renal injury, there are 5 stages. The stage 1 is where there is glomerular filtration rate is either increased or remains normal. So this is called kidney damage with normal or increased GFR. Then second stage is kidney damage with mild or decreased GFR. So normally the GFR should be 90 or more than 90, but here if this is mild type of chronic renal injury, it is 60 to 89. Then moderate type of injury in chronic renal failure, the glomerular filtration rate is again decreased. Decreased means in mild type it is 60 to 80. Then in moderate type it is 30 to 59. And this is for ml per hour for 1.73 square meter body surface area. Then come to the severe decrease in GFR occurs if the glomerular filtration rate is 15 to 29. Then if it is an end-stage renal disease, if the GFR comes below 15, then it is called end-stage renal disease or very severe type of chronic renal injury. Now come to the pathophysiology. Either you tell pathophysiology or you can tell this is a presentation. The first one is accumulation of nitrogenous waste product. What will happen if there is filtration is less? If the glomerular filtration rate is reduced, there is accumulation of the nitrogenous waste products, decrease in glomerular filtration rate. Then there is also acidosis due to decrease in the glomerular filtration rate. Why acidosis? Decreased ammonia synthesis, impaired bicarbonate resorption, and then decreased net acid excretion. These are the causes of acidosis. Then come to the sodium retention. Why there is sodium retention in case of chronic renal failure? Excessive renin productions. You might be knowing this is also one of the enzymes found in the kidney, and this excessive renin, it acts on the liver as a, then oliguria. Once there is a excessive renin formation, it causes reabsorption of the fluid, and there is a renin angiotensin pathway, and there is a oliguria, then sodium diuresis, and then tubular damage. So these are the pathogenesis. Now let us come to the others. Hyperkalemia. This is most important in case of chronic, either acute renal injury or chronic renal injury. Why this hyperkalemia occurs? Because of decrease in GFR, glomerular filtration rate, excessive potassium intake. You might be knowing what are the foods, what are the things having more potassium, as for example banana or coconut. There are others also. So why hyperkalemia occurs? Due to decrease in the glomerular filtration rate, then excessive consumption of the potassium, and then hyponatremic hypoaldosteronism, then due to hormonal effect also. Then come to the renal osteodystrophy. Renal osteodystrophy means bones deformities. It is just like the rickets. So you will find, if the child is having chronic renal injury, you will find there is a renal osteodystrophy. Why renal osteodystrophy occurs? Because of impaired renal production of 1,25 dihydroxycholecalciferol. You might be knowing that the vitamin D synthesis, pathogenesis of vitamin D synthesis. So if there is a impaired renal production of 1,25 dihydroxycholecalciferol, the absorption of calcium is reduced, and that's why the bone becomes weak, or there may be so many deformities in the bones. Then come to the hyperphosphatemia. Once the calcium is decreased, there is phosphate is increased, and this is called hyperphosphatemia. Then hypocalcemia. Okay, and sometimes if it is severe type of hypocalcemia, the patient present as a tetany. Tetany means seizure-like. Then secondary hyperparathyroidism. The patient can have secondary hyperparathyroidism. The others is growth retardation due to decrease in the calcium, increase in the phosphate, and others renal osteodystrophy. There is a growth failure. So the patient becomes stunted or short stature, and their metabolic acidosis. Patient also present as a metabolic acidosis. Then come to the patient will have anemia. If the child is suffering from chronic renal failure, he or she might have anemia. So what are the causes of anemia? The first one is decreased erythropoietic productions. Iron deficiency also. There is anemia due to iron deficiency also. Vitamin B12 deficiency also. Decrease in erythrocytes survival. You might be knowing that the survival rate of erythrocyte is 80 to 120 days, but there is destruction of the RBC below 18 days, 80 days, or even 60 days, 30 days, 40 days, and that's why there is more and more anemia. Then come to the bleeding tendency. The patient will have bleeding tendency, defective platelet functions. Why there is a bleeding tendency? Because of defective in the platelet functions. Others are infections. Why there is infections? Defective granulocyte functions. Then indwelling dialysis catheter. So, and fatigue, poor concentrations. So these are the problems or pathogenesis or clinical problems in case of chronic renal injury. Now let us come to the other issue, gastrointestinal symptoms. So what are the gastrointestinal system? Gastroesophageal reflux. Then decrease gastrointestinal motility. And then there is a hypertension also. Why there is hypertension in case of chronic renal failure? This is due to volume overload. And why there is a volume overload? That I have already told. There is a angiotensin adrenal pathway. Then come to the excessive productions. Then come to the hyperlipidemia. Why there is hyperlipidemia? Decreased plasma lipoprotein lipase activities. And then pericarditis or cardiomyopathy. You might be knowing in uremia, there may be pericarditis or pericardial effusion or pleural effusion also. So these are the signs and symptoms of uremia. Uremic factors or hypertension. Then come to the glucose intolerance, tissue insulin resistance. And that's why the patient becomes glucose intolerance. Now let us come to what are the clinical manifestations? How does the patient present in chronic renal failure? The patient presents as a lethargy. Lethargy means the patient, either male or female, unable to have active participations in any work and always remains lethargic. Then anorexia. The patient does not want to eat, and that's why becomes lean and thin also. Vomiting, and these are the signs of uremia. Anorexia, vomiting, and then growth failure. The patient becomes short statures or failure to thrive. So, and the others is pallor. Why there is a pallor? That I have already told. Then, because you might be knowing there is a erythropoietin is secreted in the kidney, and if the kidney is damaged, then there is no production of erythropoietin, and that's why the patient becomes pale. And others, the span of RBC decrease, the others, vitamin B12 deficiency and iron deficiency also. Then the patient develop edema. Why there is edema? It is due to the fluid retentions and due to the angiotensin and adrenal. Then come to the hematuria. The patient present as a hematuria. Then patient can present as a proteinuria, and patient may have UTI, urinary tract infections. So these are the clinical manifestations in case of chronic renal injury. So what are the physical signs? What are the physical examination that we have to do? The pallor, you have to look, you have to do the physical examination starting from the eyes. You look for the pallor, and then you look like sallow appearance, meaning white appearance, and this is called sallow appearance. The short stature, if you take the height of the child, and if you compare with the growth chart, that will teach, that will read in the growth and development, then you will find that the child stature is very short. Then bony abnormalities of the renal osteodystrophy. Bony, you can find there are so many features of rickets. You might be knowing there is a bossing of the heads in rickets. I think rickets has not been taught. Rickets पढ़ाई भई सके बाबू? Hello, hello भाई. रिकेट्स पढ़ाई भयो बोल्नुस् न हेलो के भयो हेलो हेलो के छ साउन्ड छैन है हेलो हेलो बोलिरहेको छैन सुन्नुहुन्छ कि सुन्नुहुन्न
सुनिरहेछ सर सुनिरहेछ
रिकेट्स पढाइ भएछ कि छैन डु यु नो रिकेट्स भिटामिन डी डिफिसियन्सीले एउटा डिजिज भइसक्यो so you might be knowing there are so many features of rickets starting from the bossing of the heads and then come to the rickety rosary थाहा छ हैन हेरिसन सल्कस सबै कुरा थाहा छ शॉर्ट स्टेसर्स देन जेन्यू भल्गम जेन्यू भेरस सबै थाहा छ हैन so you will find such type of features in case of chronic renal failure also, and patient may have edema also, pedal edema, and even ascites also. Then patient can present as, if you take the blood pressure, you will find that the patient will have hypertension. So these are the physical examination that you will get. Now let us come to what are the laboratory findings that you have to do. The most important laboratory finding is the renal function test that you have to do. And what are the renal functions there? That blood urea, creatinine, then cholesterol, and others are the ultrasonogram, and there are even blood gas analysis. The most important one is the creatinine and urea. If the urea is increased, it is called uremia. So usually in case of chronic renal failure, the damage of the kidney depends upon the level of creatinine. So you must remember that in chronic renal failure, creatinine clearance test you might be knowing also, elevated burn. Blood urea nitrogen is elevated and even creatinine is increased. And once the creatinine is increased, go on increasing. This is the severe sign of severe type of chronic renal failure. Then come to the decreased GFR. I have already told that usually in the beginning, if it is normal or even increased, if the damage is continue, then there is a decreasing in the glomerular filtration rate. Then hyperkalemia. The patient will, if you do this blood examination or serological test, you will find the potassium level is either 7 or even more than 6, and this is called hyperkalemia. And I have already told in acute renal failure that there are so many things. Other examination you have to do. You have to do the ECG, that where you will get the tall tented T wave, and there are other problem also, features of hyperkalemia, and that's why you have to treat a case of hyperkalemia. Will come later. Then come to there is a hyponatremia, because there either it is a dilutional hyponatremia, same in the case of acute renal failure. Then the patient will have acidosis. This is called metabolic acidosis, where the patient will have slow and sighing respiration and other problem also. Then the patient can have hypocalcemia. Hypocalcemia, the calcium level, normal level you might milligram per deciliter, but here the ionic and non-ionic calcium is there. If the ionic calcium is decreased, this is called, there may be chances of tetany. Then come to the hyperphosphatemia. The phosphate level is increased. Always remember the calcium and phosphate should be 2:1. But if there is any derange in the calcium or phosphate, so many problems can occur. Elevated uric acid. The patient can have elevated uric acid if you do the blood examination. Then hyperlipidemia. If the patient have hyperlipidemia, and in hyperlipidemia also, you might be knowing high density lipoprotein, low density lipoprotein, and low density lipoprotein is very dangerous. So if it go on increasing, it may cause so many problems, heart problems, coronary artery problems. So you have to look for hyperlipidemia also. Then come to the chronic anemia, then elevated serum cholesterol, then hematuria and others problems that you will get, that you will find in the blood. Now let us come to the, what is GFR? GFR usually, it depends upon the age of the child. The GFR, I have already told that it is described in ml per minute per 1.3 square meter body surface area. Then barabar K is constant into height in centimeter divided by serum creatinine per mg per deciliter. So you can find it out, the GFR of any child. Means either the child is, if the child is less than 1 year, you can find the GFR. Means you give the constant and then you can find the GFR also. If the child is average for gestation age, then you can find the GFR. If the child is either children or adolescent, you can calculate the GFR as given there, 0.55 children and adolescent. Then if the child is adolescent male, then you can calculate the GFR. It is given over there. Okay. Now let us come to the, how can you treat? Then how can you treat a case of chronic renal failure? There are so many modalities of treatment. The aim of treatment is correction of absent or diminished renal functions. So how can you correct the absent if the patient is having a total shutdown or there is a diminished renal functions? The second one is the slowing progression of the renal dysfunctions. If the patient is having renal dysfunctions, then how can you slow it? Okay, now it means either you have to treat, you have to do the medical treatment, and you have to do the dialysis, or in dialysis also you have to do hemodialysis or peritoneal dialysis. And the third mode of treatment is by nursing care also. So now come one by one. So what we will do first, fluid and electrolyte management. So most patients maintain normal sodium and water balance. In case of chronic renal failure, you don't have to treat in most of the cases because they maintain normal sodium and water balance. Then if the patient polyuric with urinary sodium loss, if the patient is polyuric with urinary sodium loss, then give high volume, low calorie density feeding with sodium supplements. Okay. So the second one is, if the patient is having high blood pressure, edema, or heart failure, you have to give required sodium restrictions and diuretic therapy, because you might have or in the nephrotic syndrome also, if the patient is having severe edema, you have to give either diuretics, and then you have to restrict the sodium. Then the third one is fluid restriction is rarely necessary until the patient will go into end-stage renal disease, ESRD. Then hyperkalemia. How can you treat hyperkalemia? Restriction of dietary potassium. And how can you restrict? You don't give banana, you don't give coconut, and then intake of oral alkylating agents, okay, should be given. Now come to the acidosis. So sodium, how can you treat a case of acidosis? You have to give sodium bicarb tablet. Usually tablet is given in case of chronic renal failure. If the child is having acute renal failure or others in case of nephritis and the patient developed acidosis, then we have to give sodium bicarbonate in injections. Then Bacitral 1 milliequivalent sodium citrate per ml. Then maintain the sodium bicarbonate. You always maintain the sodium bicarbonate more than 22 milliequivalent per liter. Because if the sodium bicarbonate goes below 12 milliequivalent per liter, it is a severe sign of metabolic acidosis. So always maintain the sodium bicarbonate more than 22 milliequivalent per liter. Now come to the nutrition. So what are the things you will do? Progressive restrictions of various dietary components. Dietary restrictions of phosphorus, potassium, and sodium. So protein intake is not more than 2.5 gram per kg per day. Restriction of high biological value protein. Try to reduce the high biological protein like eggs, milk, meat, or fish, because these all causes increase in the uric acid and other components which can harm the kidney. Supplement carbohydrate, fat, medium chain triglycerides should be given, and proteins. Nasogastric, how can you maintain the nutrition? Either you give nasogastric or nasogastrostomy or by gastrojejunal tube. Okay, because patients are anorexic, he or she cannot take by mouth. That's why you have to give by nasogastric feeding. So continuous overnight infusion. You have to give infusion also in the form of these solutions, and then water soluble vitamins routinely supplied. You have to give vitamin B complex vitamins also, because there is a deficiency of vitamin B complex, and that's why you have to put this vitamin B complex in the fluids and give IV. Then supplement with others. Then come to the growth. Short stature is long-term sequelae. In case of whenever you come to the ward or in the OPD, the patient comes, the mother or father will complain, my child is not gaining height. So this is a long-term problems in case of chronic renal failure. And once you get, so if you will be taught about the short stature and failure to thrive, this is most important cause of failure to thrive in case of chronic renal failure. Then growth hormones, how can you treat growth hormone? Usually it is a growth hormone resistant. Why there is a growth hormone resistant? These patients, because there is an increase in growth hormone. Even if the patient is short stature, but the growth hormone is increased, but decrease in insulin-like growth factors. So abnormality of insulin-like growth factors binding proteins. And so how can you treat? By giving recombinant human growth hormones. And this is costly also, and this has been given. So continue until how long you will continue the growth hormones or recombinant human growth hormones, continue until the patients attain the height of 50th percentile to achieve a final adult height. So never, so you have to give for a long time this recombinant human growth hormone. Okay, now let us come to the renal osteodystrophy. So renal osteodystrophy, a spectrum of bone disorders. What is renal osteodystrophy? A spectrum of renal bone disorders in CKD, chronic kidney disease, high turnover bone diseases, then secondary hyperparathyroidism, and then osteitis fibrosa cystica. If you see the bones, even femur or humerus, there is a swelling, and this is called osteitis fibrosa cystica. Now let us come to the pathophysiology of renal osteodystrophy. What are the pathophysiology? When GFR decline to 50% of normal, decline in 1-alpha hydroxylase, and then decrease production of activated vitamin D. Then other is decrease intestinal absorption of calcium, that I have already told. And then there is a hypocalcemia, secondary hyperparathyroidism for the correction of hypocalcemia, increase bone when GFR decline to 25% of normal. And ultimately there is a further promote the increase in parathyroid hormone. Now let us come to the clinical manifestations of renal osteodystrophy. What are the clinical manifestations? The patient have muscle weakness. Yes? Hello? Then patient have bone pain. The patient will have minor trauma. Even minor trauma can cause fractures. केही भन्नु थियो? Hello? केही भन्नु छ? Hello, hello. भन्नुस् न, केही भन्नु छ भने? Decrease calcium, then increase phosphate, then increase alkaline phosphate, and subperiosteal problem. Now let us come to the treatment of renal osteodystrophy. How can you treat a case of renal osteodystrophy? Low phosphorus diet, then give phosphate binders, then calcium carbonate and calcium acetate, avoid aluminum-based binders, vitamin D therapy is needed, maintain calcium phosphorus ratio. Okay, so you can treat like that. Now let us come to the anemia. The causes is inadequate erythropoietin productions, iron deficiency, folic acid, vitamin B12 deficiency, and decreased erythrocyte survival. The treatment, you have to give the erythropoietin or maintain the hemoglobin level at 10. So you have to give dose of is 50 to 150 mg per kg per dose, 1 to 3 times a week. Erythropoietin should be given. Now let us come to the hypertension. How can you treat a case of hypertension in case of chronic renal failure? Salt restriction is necessary. Diuretic therapy is necessary. Then hydrochlorothiazides, then diuretics, then furosemide, then AC inhibitors you have to give, then calcium channel blockers, and then beta blockers. These are the medication that you have to use in case of hypertension. Now let us come to the immunization. So what we'll do? Immunization according to schedule. Avoid live vaccines. Never give live vaccines if the patient is on immunosuppressive drugs, because most of the case of chronic renal failure remains on the immunosuppressive drugs. Then live vaccines should be given before renal transplantation. Give vaccine yearly. Then come to the adjustment in the drugs. If you get any patients with chronic renal failure, you must adjust the drugs, aminoglycosides in low dosage. Then come to the, so what are the strategy to slow the progression of chronic renal failure? Control of hypertension, maintain serum calcium and phosphorus, treatment of infections, correction of anemia, control of hyperlipidemia, avoid smoking, prevention of obesity. So these are the strategy you have to. Now, before going to the thanks, so the other important